All right. Example 3, page 339, or second part of lesson 8. What they did here, again, you might want to follow along in the textbook. They gave me this figure here. And then they gave me a second figure. And the second one is an enlargement of the first one. So I know that they're similar. So they asked me to calculate the length of GH. So they want me to calculate out the length of this one right here. So I'm going to build an equation and solve that by rearranging the equation. So I got, I'm going to take the GH, what I'm looking for, and I'm going to put the GH, I got to come down and find the corresponding side here, which they give me, is 32.4 meters. 32.4. And then I got to come back up to my original one, the one that I got the GH, and I'm going to use that 5.4 in its coordinate, the 8.1. So I got a 5.4 that I get from here, and the 8.1 which I get from here. The important thing is that the GH off of this drawing and the 5.4 both have to be on the top. You can't kind of mix those up. So now I'm going to do that by rearranging an equation. Well, we know from all the equations that we did and the inequalities and everything else, if I want to take this divide by 32.4, move it to the other side of my equal sign, if it's a division here, it's going to be a multiplication as it crosses over here. And I'm going to do that because that isolates GH by itself. So I'm going to have GH equals 5.4 over 8.1. It's a division, so it'll cross over as a multiplication. So times 32.4. And I'm just going to put that over 1. Now we know from multiplying fractions, all we do is multiply our numerators, multiply our denominators. So I did that. And when I take my 5.4 times 32.4, I got 174.96. That's from multiplying these two. The 8.1 times 1 is obviously 8.1. So the only thing I need to do now is take the 174.96, divide it by the 8.1. And when I did that, I got 21.6. And this is given in meters, so it's 21.6 meters, so that's GH. So that's how to do it by rearranging an equation. That's kind of what it shows you in the textbook. I got looking at this, now there's certainly a lot more than one way to do this. And I'm going to show you a couple others. Now, if you struggle with this and you find this is the easiest way for you, just do it that way. But really, the more ways you can do a question, the better off you are. It gives you a lot of choices. So, I still keep the same equation, but I'm going to do it by another method called cross multiplication. And in cross multiplication, all I do is I take the GH and I multiply it by 8.1. And then I'm going to take the 32.4 and multiply it by 5.4. So just as it sounds, cross multiplication. So GH times 8.1 is 8.1 GH. And then I multiply the 32.4 times the 5.4. And when I did that, I got 174.96. Again, we want to isolate and get GH by itself. This 8.1 is a multiplication between the 8.1 and the GH, so it'll go over as a division. GH equals 174.96. This comes over, it comes as a division, 8.1. 174.96 divided by 8.1 gives you 21.6 meters. So we did it with rearranging an equation. I did the same question using a cross multiplication. Another way I could do that is looking at ratios. Now, if I'm using that method, I still need to be able to set this equation up. But I can do I looked at, because there's a couple ways you can do this too. I can look and say, okay, what do I need to do the 8.1 to turn it to 32.4? And what I'm really looking at and saying, what do I need to multiply 8.1 by to turn it to 32.4? And in order to do that, I can find that number by division. First of all, I know that it's going to be a number bigger than 1. So when I know it is to be bigger than 1, so I take the 32.4, divide it by the 8.1. And the reason I talked about it being greater than 1, if I did it the other way around, 8.1 divided by 32.4, I'm going to get a number less than 1. So I do that. That gets me 4. What does that tell me? 4 times 8.1 is 32.4. If I need to multiply the 8.1 by 4 to turn it to 32.4, these things are proportional, they're similar. That tells me that if I multiply the 5.4 also by 4, it'll get me GH. And if I do that, 5.4 times 4, we come back to the same answer, 21.6 meters. So there's 3 different ways you can do it. I mean, you can do the same thing by looking, take the 8.1, what do you need to do to turn it to 5.4? Do the same thing to 3.24, and you can, so like there's lots of ways to do the question. So that's the A part of that example. The B part is what? Calculate the length of NP. Calculate the length of NP. Where's NP? Oh, right here. So I got to set the equation up. I take the NP that I'm looking for, I put it on the top. I look for the corresponding side in my other drawing. So this side is 27. Again, I'm going to go in. I got these 2 sides that they gave me. Now remember, my NP's on the top. That means that 8.1's got to be on top too, the one that's kind of with this drawing. So 8.1 goes up here. Its corresponding side on the other, the 5.4. Now I can just choose whichever method I want. We'll stick with the rearranging the equation. So NP equals 8.1 over 5.4. Again, I'm moving this to the right side of my equation. It's a division, so it moves over as a multiplication. Put that over 1, and there we go. So then I multiplied the 8.1 by the 27.0, and I got 218.7. And obviously 5.4 times 1 is 5.4. 218.7 divided by 5.4, 40.5. So NP equals 40.5, and this, well, yeah, this is all in meters. Okay, lots of ways you can do it. I mean, you could have did this division here, calculated it out before you ever brought the 27 over. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. So the questions I want you to do now, page 341, and I want you to do questions 4 and 5. And page 378. And from them I want, just do question 8. That's it. We're done. So that's your final lesson they want me to make up for you. So, again, you don't need to send all the work in to me, but I would appreciate it if you'd just send me back an email and say, yeah, I did it, or I did it the best I could. Like the administration and stuff asked me, like what percentages of your people are doing it and things like that. And the really only way I know to tell them is just, if I hear back from you, just that you have. Anyway, been a pleasure.